What's up, everybody? It is Cece Jones Davis and my beautiful, beautiful co-host Malika McKinley Cox, and we are here bringing you the Men the World podcast.
Yes, so excited.
We are so excited, y'all. And for this first episode, I want y'all to know that I'm over here. I might be a little grainy to you. I hope that the picture is okay, but I'm in a hotel. It's 4 a.m.
Oh
I'm
goodness.
out in these streets working. But it was so important that we connect with you on particular things that I'm not able to be fancy right now. Malika's fancy. I'm not able to be fancy. But we're so glad that
All
you have
good.
joined us, and we're looking forward to building community together and
Mm,
strategizing together and being together and hoping together in
yes.
such a strange time we're living in. Malika, what's up, girl?
Yes. Oh my gosh, so much in the world. I'm just so glad that we are actually launching Men the World podcast. We've been talking about this we've been working on this since last year, since maybe fall. It's been this idea, and it's always so much fun to conceive the idea, and then towards the end it's just kind of like, the labor pains hit, and then it becomes a lot more difficult to actually get this thing out. But I feel that we are here, and we're live, and you guys are with us, and oh my gosh, what an honor to share this project, and hopefully, just bringing people hope. And that's really what we want in this kind of project. But we also don't want it to be Pollyanna hope. We don't want the hope to be frivolous or without any depth. We really want it to be much more a resilient hope, a hope that is rooted in the truth.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're not going to shy away from that. And so, we're just excited you're here.
Yeah.
Cece, what's going on with you? I know you are paying attention to kind of everything going on in the United States and the world, and we've got really awful realities happening. Give us some updates.
Yeah, I think the biggest update that we have right now is the gutting of the Voting Rights Act. And
Yeah.
it has so many of us, particularly those of us in the African American community, devastated. A
Hmm.
ruling by the Supreme Court in Louisiana has decided that those who complained about a previous districting that supported um, and encouraged Black folks to vote when they were in majority Black districts, decided that that was racism, basically, and gutted the Voting Rights Act, allowed this particular other redistricting to happen, and ruled to that states do not have to use race to draw districts, even to comply with the Voting Rights Act. Um, to win a voting rights case now, people must prove intentional discrimination and not just unfair outcomes. And this really impacts Black and Brown communities. It reduces minority voting power because you must prove intentional racism, which is so much harder. Um, we kind of are reeling, and we know that this is a part of a larger plan and a
Yeah.
larger picture to um, to lead us toward, take us further into authoritarianism. Black
Absolutely.
folk and brown folk have been crying loud and sparing not for quite some time now regarding the Trump administration, and people didn't listen or people did not care, one or the other. And here we are. And so,
Yeah.
we're in a bad spot, Malika. We really are. And that's why these are the reasons, the issues that really sparked us to start this podcast. And I want you to tell folks, like, me and Malika, y'all have known each other forever. Well, it feels like forever.
Mhm.
It was probably since 2017 or something, but it feels like forever. I don't know. I
About that time, yeah.
Yeah, I consider Malika my work spouse. She
Yes.
anything that she puts her hands to is brilliant, turns to gold, is
Oh,
thoughtful, is spirit-filled, and,
love
so
you,
when she
Cece.
says, "Cece, come on over here and ride with me," I just get on board and ride. Malika, how did you come up with
Yeah.
the idea for this podcast?
Well, first I wanna say I don't wanna do anything without Cece. Cece is my work spouse, and, I have the highest regard, deepest respect for you. I love you as, one of my best friends, and also just I'm also one of your fangirls. Cece it's, like,
Malika.
so amazing, as an activist, as a minister, as, just an incredible woman for this time. I see her as a civil rights, legend and, like,
Mhm.
living legend, and I love her so much, and I wouldn't wanna do anything at all without her. And I will just say Mend the World is something that, this really goes back to about 2016 for me. Um, it was 2015 was weird because I was still in a multi cultural church that, we were not political. And then all of a sudden, um, people were supporting this person who I thought is authoritarian. And I'm like, I mean, I went on to get 2 degrees in this, but I mean, I had just seen The Sound of Music enough time to be like, wait a minute, Trump is having these rallies and it looks a lot like other authoritarian leaders. But I also went off to Northern Ireland. I got a degree in peace and conflict resolution reconciliation work. But I didn't understand is I would be studying war, atrocity, and the worst of humanity for 99% of that degree. I mean, it was maybe 1% peace.
Mhm.
And so I'm just got case study after case study of like South Africa's apartheid system, what happened in Sri Lanka, the Rwandan genocide, Cambodia's killing fields. Like I'm just immersed in some of the worst, horrific things that really always was rooted in colonization and patriarchy.
Mhm.
So, I went and did my research in Jerusalem, and I had been to the region before several times, but always as a tourist. This time I've been as a researcher. I was there for 5 weeks in East Jerusalem, which is the Palestinian side. And I just remember, I remember being in, I mean, just this marketplace, and this sweet older Palestinian man said, like, what is your ethnicity? Because I was speaking English. And I said, well, actually, my dad's black from Kansas and my mom's white from DC, and I'm just mixed. I'm black officially. And he grabbed my face and he just, it was the sweetest thing. He goes, you have a Palestinian face. And it was like the
Mhm.
sweetest thing and the highest compliment. Um, but it was interesting because yeah, I was I was in an area where people um where I was in a Palestinian neighborhood surrounded by, the IDF, people with machine guns, for people who were being, and I look like the people who are being oppressed. I am not saying I'm a privileged person. I had an American passport. I maybe got a tiniest of taste of that, but I did go through checkpoints. I, you can go through those checkpoints between Bethlehem, anywhere in the West Bank, and then you're talking about maybe hours. I mean, there are Palestinians who have to go through every day 5 hours just to do manual labor. These
Mhm.
checkpoints are terrifying. I just had situations that were kind of, just very intimidating, even as an American. And so that just opened my eyes. That, seeing the wall, I was in Bethlehem and looking at such an egregious, human rights violation. I'm not the only one. The International Court of Justice said that that walls in Bethlehem is a violation of international law. So, seeing that, it was like so many ideas in my head were crumbling around why the United States is supporting such uh, a horrific, um, I will say, practices. I mean, the
Mhm.
Israeli government, there was definitely a permit system for Palestinians, and then there was something else for settlers. That's apartheid. I mean, So like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, it was like I could see the same things that I heard about in back home around Jim Crow, segregation, all of these things, but it was like I was actively there witnessing something. So, between the case studies of authoritarianism, we're talking about, we studied Germany, we studied the Holocaust, we studied concentration camps, we studied Venezuela and Colombia. We talked about mass graves and disappearing people. All of that to say, I was faced with a lot of reality and truth that put me into a pretty deep depression. And
Mhm.
frankly, that was like, what, 10 years ago? I'm not really over that. That's like,
Mhm.
oh, well, you bounce back. You kind of learn how to live through a depression. I've never been the same.
Yeah.
So the whole degree was this idea of how do we go through a transition from war to peace, but it's not that simple because peace is really been that word in itself is useless. They talk about warhead missiles being peacekeepers. We've ruined that word. What does peace mean? And is
Yeah.
peace just silence? Like, do you want people to be quiet in the
That's
face of
all.
their oppression?
That's all.
So all of that to say, I came back to the States. That's where we met. And thank God that I got to meet you and some other really great people.
Yeah. And
Started
Malika,
working.
tell the people,
Yes.
because I think a really important part of your story that lots of people who might be listening to us will relate to is, as your eyes were opening and as you were seeing these things for yourself, you left your church.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So sorry. That was a major thing. So when I came back in 2017, my church, like the leadership and people were supporting Trump. As somebody who is black, who had a black father, white mother, would go places with my black father, be treated one way, go to the same place with my white mother, be treated differently, who had faced um some, I realize I have some privilege there too, but I've been able to just witness racism my whole life, if
Mhm.
not directly experience it. And I was like, are you kidding me? This man is like a grand wizard. He's acting like Hitler, Mussolini, authoritarianism. And the response from people was the same kind of cult of personality worship. So I left my church depressed. Like I went through, like, again, I don't know if I'm over the depression completely. It was like losing a parent because I'd been with these people for like 15 years. They helped me through a tragedy where three of my friends were murdered, and I went into this church, and so I felt this loyalty.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do, and they're shamed when they leave these communities, but I did it, and it was the best thing I've ever done in my life, was to get out of that very sick, twisted, toxic culture that is, frankly, I think the American Western Church in general, not saying Christianity, but the American Western Church, Protestant church in general, not Orthodox
Mhm.
churches. The evangelical church is corrupt, and it is not just complicit in white supremacy, it is white supremacy.
Mhm.
Uh, so all of that to say, I left that, started doing the work of justice, started working in criminal justice reform in Oklahoma. And then I met you, worked with some other people who are just amazing, got to do that, then went back to Boston, did another degree, got my degree in international law, studied human rights, studied like the Rome Statute. I studied humanitarian law. I studied all these things and just started to see. As soon as I started to do this, like saw it was like, oh my God, Putin, invades Ukraine, Netanyahu and Israel just publicly start a genocide in Gaza, and using what happened on October 7th for a reason to not, help the hostages, but really go in and just a land grab. And then really afraid that Trump is going to come into power because he's so compromised by those two people,
Yeah.
his friendship with Netanyahu and Putin. So that was when it was like, when we talked about the Voting Rights Act, it was like, well, 92%, the black women have been saying, like, to me, it was clear. Project 2025 was Jim Crow 2.0. which we are seeing is accurate.
Yep.
ICE was the KKK. Yes, even the black and brown ICE people
Yep.
are KKK because they
Yep.
wear masks. I guess they're not wearing
100%.
masks anymore. And then, sorry, but Trump's the grand wizard.
So
He's just David Duke 2.0. And so all of that, it was like, we're looking at really what seems to me a imploding of all these violent systems. And what do we do? How
yeah.
do we mend the world? We're gonna have to face it,
Yep.
and we're gonna have to lament, and
Yep.
then we're gonna have to imagine something different.
Yep.
So that's how I came up with, let's do this project where Cece and I meet with other justice people and each other,
That's right.
and we begin to really face the truth, but also work on imagining something different.
Amen. Amen. And I have to tell y'all, it would be an episode all in itself if you all saw Malika and I trying to set up our podcast equipment. Okay, because I am not a techie. Malika is a little bit more of a techie than me, but I don't believe you would call yourself a techie, Malika, in these ways. And so the microphone, the lights, the scarlet box thing, I mean all of these things, y'all, it was gruesome. And
It was rough.
but here we are. And Malika is, if you're watching, Malika is the proof of the beauty of it all. And we've had so much help from Rachel
Yeah,
Bryan, who has really, she's like just,
amazing.
yeah, creative genius. And Jaden Oliver
Jade and Oliver.
is another producer of this. And, we're just so grateful. And again, I'm sorry that I might be graining to you all, but the
No problem.
information and the conversation I felt like was important enough and more important than the aesthetic today. The United
Yeah,
States
absolutely.
is 100% on fire. I don't know if there's ever been a time when the United States hasn't had a little flame to it, hasn't had been on fire in some way, but it's full force fire right now, and everybody's bucket of water is extremely, extremely important. I came to social justice work right after seminary, after working in HIV/AIDS advocacy. I actually was volunteering in a AIDS hospice, and just realized how marginalized people are just treated and the impact that has on them. And that really brought me to social justice work. And I've been doing this kind of thing in a variety of ways for the last 20 some years. And we were in Oklahoma, and it was just so good to have a small, tight community that
Mhm.
um, that kind of, had similar ideas and thoughts and um, progressive notions about, what the state could be, what the world could be. And Malika it was my right hand and my buddy, my partner in Oklahoma, and all those kinds of things. But I want y'all to know that Malika McKinley Cox is recording this, and we're in completely different time zones. I mean, completely different. We're like 6
8
hours.
hours? No, I think we're 8 hours.
Okay, we're like 8 hours. Okay,
Yeah.
we're recording this. It's 4 AM where I am.
Yeah, Cece woke up in the middle of the night.
Malika is in the middle of her day. All right.
Yeah,
This
it's
lady moved. Malika,
1 o'clock. Yeah.
we heard about, you know, your amazing education and learning about authoritarianism, peace building, conflict, all these amazing things. And I know that all of that experience and learning gave you a lot of insight when it came to how you would deal with the second Trump term. So tell the people about your move.
Thank you, Cece. And first, I want to say we're just so happy you're here. Your being, your essence, your voice is so essential. So you look gorgeous.
No, thank
we
thank
we don't worry about the
you.
camera.
Doing my best today.
And secondly, I do also want to say, Cece, I got to one of the best things about that period of time, that 10 years after I came back, was watching Cece Jones Davis. If she decides that something is uh, unjust, she will throw herself 100% behind ensuring that that thing stops. And I mean, I never witnessed anything like it. And Cece gave me hope again.
Mm.
Cece and another woman in Oklahoma City, Kim Bandy, these two women really breathed life back into me.
Okay.
And I think that watching them, Cece just say, I see Julius Jones on death row. He did not receive a fair trial. I believe he's innocent. I'm going to do everything in my power to get this man off death row. And he got off death row. And of course, Kim was one of those people too who kind of taught me the idea of defiant hope.
Mhm.
Um, that you hope even when it's not visible. And she works
Mhm.
with neighbors, doing some crucial work in relationships around the resettled refugee community and her people that she loves so much, who love her. Um, and so all of that to say, you guys breathe life back into me.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful for that. And once Trump was out of power, I guess there was hope that there was going to be something different with Biden Harris. And there was. It wasn't like the constant wake up of like, what did this man just say on Twitter?
Mhm.
That's
Right, right, right,
insane.
right.
But it was like I was deeply, deeply disappointed and furious, frankly, on how Biden handled the constant money given to APAC, the constant money given to Israel when we are witnessing an out and out genocide. So there was,
Yep.
I, kn- I that was horrifying. Um, I also understood that Trump coming back into power with the world's, at least historically, the most technically advanced army in the world of recorded history, backing by these tech bros. I'm going to call them tech lords, these feudalist tech lords, with JD Vance as a puppet inside of this. It was like this is bad. This is globally bad. But this is really bad. And it was like I didn't, it was one of those moments, what do I do? And then, other people who had studied authoritarianism left. The guy from Yale, I think his name is Jason Stanley, he left. Other people left or had already left the country because it was one of those things that was like, um, I don't think Americans have any clue what
No,
real
right.
fast living under, like, yes, Black Americans do, Native Americans do, um, but the general populace that is white or privileged, people of color, um, maybe there's some ancestral understanding, but in general, it's like this is going to be different. And I was concerned that, and here's what I saw. Okay, I see concentration camps on American soil. That happened. I see women losing all rights. They're trying to take away the 19th Amendment. They're putting women in jail for miscarriages in the United States. I saw um, ICE becoming more like what we've had in the past, which has happened. All of these things, I could see, and it was like I remember after November 6th, just I stayed up all night with a bottle of red wine, just drinking, crying, rage filling my body. Um, so many people are going to die. So many people, and not just the United States. It
Yeah.
wasn't just that. It was like, yes, there are people dying all over the world. You know, there's apartheid and genocide in Gaza and genocide in Sudan and a genocide, and I would say not just a genocide, but slavery, like slavery in the Congo. These things are horrible. But given the opportunity to open the door to like every tech guy or Netanyahu or um, the just complete and utter complicity that Trump has with Putin, I mean, things are going to get a lot worse. And so I was already like not feeling physically well with what happened,
Yeah.
deciding, do I go? I mean, I've been working at this thing for 10 years. And maybe that I know a lot of people have done a lot longer, but I was like, I told people, listen, we don't have a great options here. But I'm going to go with the option that just is less psychopathic. right? I'm going to get behind Harris and not, I'm going to vote for her. I'm not saying that I liked anything that Biden Harris did, but she was not the president.
Right.
Trump had been president. We had witnessed his presidency. We had witnessed January 6th. We had witnessed him move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Like, we saw these things. So yes, I was. So once, there was kind of this collective Black woman in general, like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to take a break. And so during that time, even before the election, I started having these dreams at night that I was living in this particular city in Europe. I'm not going to say what city it was. And then I had this experience with a guest that we're going to have in a few weeks. You're going to love Carlos Rodriguez from Puerto Rico, who just
Mhm.
told me, Malika, you need to find the soil that's underneath your that belongs to you. And so
Mhm.
anyway, that night, I dreamt about this place. I woke up and it was lingering. This country was lingering. And I was like, wow, I'd only been to this country once in my whole life. I was born in Spain, though, I will say that. So I didn't feel too bad about leaving. So, I was born an American, but I'm like, listen, I'm sure I'm an American, but under this like administration regime, I wasn't born in the United States. I'm look like I look ethnically ambiguous. You could just
Mhm.
whatever you want to call me. And I've written, my dissertation about Palestine. They're going to get me out anyway, so I
Mhm.
might as well just go. But this other country, it was just having me. So I just remember on the 16th of November, I bought a ticket. I was on a plane November 18th, went to this city, went to a conference there, and was like, "Yep, this is the feet. This is the ground that he told me I should be looking for."
Mhm.
And then came back. I had my visa by May, flew out by June, and now I live in this country that is outside the United States. And frankly, as somebody who is, half Western European by choice, I mean, on my
Mhm.
dad's side, obviously, you know, there's enslaved African and probably some European that wasn't by choice, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like, okay, well, I decolonized in one sense. I got off the land that didn't belong to me, and um, just once you study
Yeah.
fascism, once you study the worst atrocities, like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to take care of myself.
That's
And that right
important.
there, as a Black woman, is very radical, because
Yeah.
Black women are supposed to save everybody.
That's
And so
right.
I'm gonna go save myself.
That's right, and that is exactly what Malika did, y'all, and I was like, I thought she was kind of joking at first, but that girl packed up her stuff, her family and her dog, and she rolled up out of here, and
Yeah, I did.
it is the one of the most brave things that I think I have ever seen somebody do, and, you know, I'm so glad that you modeled for us radical self-love, like taking care of
Mm.
yourself when you see. Do y'all remember when there was this huge tsunami? It was years ago. Was it Indonesia? Was it Indonesia, Malika? It was
Yeah, around there. I'm not
okay,
sure if it,
okay. So,
but yeah, it
if
was
you guys
something like that.
remember, there was
Country
this
similar
huge,
regionally.
huge, huge, tsunami, somewhere in the world, and forgive me for not, absolutely knowing the country at this moment, but they said that the animals, the, j just the wildlife, the birds, the elephants, the everything started
Mhm.
to do this strange migration a couple of days before, right? So they could sense something, they could see something from afar that we could not see. And I think that's what um, Black people have
Mhm.
been, right? And tried to be metaphorically in this era, right? That because of our history, we can see and sense things coming that are destructive and not good. And so when we say we've got to move in another direction,
Yeah.
we've got to go uphill from here. Um, that's what we did, and that's what we said. but people were not listening. People were
Mm-mm.
drunk with the wine of the world, and um, forgetting that being an American does not um, um, make you immune to
Right.
evil. It
Absolutely.
doesn't make you immune to dictatorships. It doesn't make you immune to um, the rollback of history, which we have seen over and over
Mm.
again during this administration. And
Mhm.
so, one of the things that I would say to people is if you've never listened to Black and Brown folk before, listen. Start listening,
Yes.
because if you start
Absolutely.
listening, particularly to Black women, and it's not that Black women or Black people are better than anybody. It is only because we have a particular history in
Mhm.
this country, right? But we have an ability to see things coming that it doesn't seem a whole lot of other folks are able to see. 92% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris because we saw the tsunami coming.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Even in the
Yeah.
midst of Gaza, right? The things that were happening under the Biden administration. And let me confess, let me tell y'all a story here. I was so upset, and I'm still furious about America's participation
Mhm.
in the genocide of Palestinian people. I mean,
Yep.
I don't even have words. I don't have words for how broken I was and have been about that, because let's not make that history. Those atrocities are still happening. Those
Oh, yeah.
atrocities
West
are
Bank,
still
Lebanon,
happening.
Yemen. I mean, it's I just wanna say that too. Like, the brokenness, the absolute despair
Yes.
is it as an onlooker who can do nothing.
Yes. I mean, the kind of and we're gonna talk about this in another episode, but moral injury. Let's remember that,
Mm,
Malika, to talk
mm.
about moral injury.
Moral injury,
The moral
absolutely
injury that we were
real.
experiencing, watching moment by moment, children, women, men, elders, being just obliterated like their lives didn't matter. I'm telling you, it has really it's changed me. It's really changed me. But in any case, let me get back to the story. Because of what we saw under the Biden administration, the participation of the United States in this atrocity, I was determined that I was not going to vote for Kamala Harris in the beginning. I was determined. And some of my
Mhm.
friends could tell you. I was
Oh, yeah.
determined because, for my
I wasn't gonna vote for Biden. I had already stated that. I'm not voting for him.
I was fixing not to vote for Biden, not to vote for Kamala. And my position was the United States is just gonna have to lie in the bed it makes, you know what I mean? Because, I felt like I could not support people who led, who made decisions around this atrocity among the Palestinian people. And so, I was determined. I was telling some of my friends, "Hey, y'all, I'm not voting for this Biden administration. I'm telling y'all now." And I'm so grateful for good friends and good elders who said, "Okay, CC, we understand what you were saying. We get it, and we understand the principles that you were standing on. But let's talk about what will happen.
Mhm.
What will happen if Trump gets another presidency?" And they said to me, one friend said to me, "You're going to be fine because you live in a good neighborhood. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about paying your bills. You do not struggle in ways that so many other Black and brown people in this country, and poor people, Black, brown, and poor people struggle with in this country. You do not have to deal with the issues that LGBTQIA folks have to
Right.
deal with in this country. And so you might be all right under a Trump administration, but other people will not." My elders said to me, "Hey, we fought too hard. We fought
Right.
too hard for to get the right to vote. We fought too hard against segregation. We fought too hard against Jim Crow. You cannot participate in rolling us back." And thankfully, by the grace of God, I had the good
Mhm.
sense God gave me to make another choice and to not be a somebody that stood on the sidelines when it came to vote. And I voted for Kamala Harris and I campaigned for Kamala Harris because I understood that that was a much, much, much better choice, right?
Right.
And so I'm grateful that I do not have that guilt hanging over my head, Malika, of having not
Yeah.
voted or have voted, yeah, having not voted because that was my only option. Go ahead.
And I would like to add that because I had that same, I mean, we had that debate when we were in Ireland. We were like not voting for Biden. And I, really want to say to the people who were talking to us, I totally came around. And here's the thing, it's not because, um, it was because of the sum zero mentality or the binary, like you're either this or that. It was at a moment where we had to go non-binary. We had to be like, and okay, and
Yeah,
we're going to work on stopping like this entirely um global evil, like thing that's going to happen, and we're going to have to be able to advocate against these other things.
right.
But at the end of the day, it was like, listen, it's not just one issue. We've got Congo, and Congo is also going through basically slavery. There was 70 children recently who died in a mining elements for no pay or like $1 a day.
Oh, Jesus.
Children for our phones.
Lord have
And that's
mercy.
the tech people. There was also Sudan, who's going through a genocide that is. We'll go into that because we're learning more about who's supporting that. I believe it's the UAE is supporting the people who are doing just some of the worst human atrocities. There was also women. Like, to be honest, it's like 50% of the world or 51% of the world are women,
That's
right?
right.
I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna see women lose their rights again. I mean, we're talking about um, I think within just a few months, there was an 11-year-old who gave birth to
Jesus.
a child because of the rewritten laws around women's health care.
And there have been women who have died because
Yes,
had, you know,
or put in jail.
yeah, they've had
And so, yeah,
complications, and
yes,
doctors have and hospitals have not been able to intervene in fear of losing their licenses,
or
etcetera,
going to
etcetera.
jail.
Yes,
Yeah.
and women have died. Women died.
So I Yeah, and so I had to come to decision of what are my core values, and I have 3 core values that I wake up and I look at every morning. The first one is truth telling, the second one is restorative justice, and the third one is planetary flourishing. And I try to live by those 3 things. And so for me, okay, we have to do this in a restorative justice way, which is an and not a but.
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, if we're going to be punitive here, we're going to say, I'm not going to vote for this person if they're the lesser of two evils. They're both evil, and that is that's punitive justice. And that there's a sense of moral high ground. There's the
yeah,
purity culture of like, okay, I'm better than everybody else, but really at the end of the day, let's try for restorative justice, which does not mean that we don't hold people accountable. It does not mean that we do not remove people from um, positions where they can harm. It does not mean that there isn't like serious repercussions, but like restorative means we're thinking holistically, we're thinking long term, we're thinking strategically, and we are going to envision something long term that worked for everyone. And I really believe that what happened in 2024 is punitive justice prevailed, and we are watching the splintering and the fracturing of that happen across the world. And so, what do we do now but pick up the pieces?
that's
We're
right.
going to have to pick up the pieces from that punitive choice and try to work towards mending it,
Yes,
like through kintsugi as a metaphor, the um, Japanese art of kintsugi, where you take broken pieces and you put the pottery back together by lacing in the gold, and the gold is going to be restorative justice, which again requires truth,
yeah,
requires lament,
yeah,
it requires repair from the oppressor side too. the oppressed or the victims
Yeah.
or the loved ones victims. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah, I just think going forward, mend the world, and everything has to be restorative and thought of as a whole.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Malika. And we're going to move into talking about you bring us into a great segue into talking about what we hope to accomplish.
Yes.
Before we go there and start to wind down, I want to just highlight for people a few other things that um, have folks, particularly minority communities, lamenting in this country
Mm,
right
mm,
now. And I think the first thing, because I want people to have some concrete examples as to why we are bucking this system, right?
mhm,
Why, what has brought us to a place to have to speak out in very specific terms about the evilness of the Trump administration, the evilness of white supremacy, right? And so I
mhm,
want to give you guys some examples. One of the first things that hurt my heart during this second term of this administration was that USAID was defunded. And I want y'all to understand that USAID um, does things, funds things like healthcare, clinics and vaccines, HIV treatments around the world. They do food aid. They did food aid and clean water programs. They built schools and provided education, particularly in places where education was not that common for girls, right? They did disaster relief all over the world. USAID was our most benevolent, in my opinion, Jesus-like agency in the United States government, and we got rid of USAID. So let me tell y'all some things that happened as a result. As a result of USAID being eradicated, healthcare got worse. That means that clinics and hospitals around the country, around the world, shut down. Millions of people lost access to basic care. Diseases like HIV, malaria, tuberculosis are on the rise and are spreading again more and more and more. It's estimated that up to 95 million people have lost health care and millions could die from preventable, let me underline that for you, preventable causes. There's more hunger and poverty because food programs have been cut. Farmers in poor communities around the world have lost support. More families are struggling to survive. Kids have lost access to schools, y'all. About 23 million children around the world in different countries, in vulnerable countries and communities, have lost access to school. Okay. Women have less access to birth control. Um, Aid workers and teachers have lost their jobs. Local programs like literacy programs have shut down, right? There's a huge global impact here of losing USAID that could lead to millions of additional deaths over time. And so when we are talking about um, the evils of white supremacy, the evils of greed, the evils that is personified at this particular moment through the Trump administration, these are some of the things that we are talking about. Now, I want us to also remember that, people don't just dislike Trump for our health, okay? We dislike Trump because Trump has proven time and time again that he's a racist, right? He
oh
started
my
the
God, yeah.
foolishness. I mean, look, he started the foolishness before he was campaigning for presidency in his first term. But, we really heard him loud and clear when he started questioning Barack Hussein Obama. He always emphasizes the Hussein, and I want y'all to know that's
Islamophobia.
racist all in itself, okay? He's trying to imply something there that Barack Hussein Obama was not an American citizen, right? And could not therefore run for presidency. So he had all his supporters demanding a birth certificate from Barack Obama. Okay, Charlottesville, You remember the Charlottesville uprising? What did he say? That there were very fine people on both sides, right? He made comments about majority black cities like Detroit and Baltimore and Chicago as rat infested and disgusting, right? He attacked black figures, right? Told four congresswomen of color, including black members, to go back to where they came from, right? Criticized by many as a racially charged statement, right? Like, I mean, go back where you came from. You don't get more racist than that, right? Criminal
That's
justice.
the KKK's
That's right.
motto.
Emphasizing law and order and supported aggressive policies. And during the 2020 protests after George Floyd's murder, used strong rhetoric about force, right? And trying to keep um, peace and trying to keep law and order. And then we have already talked about what is happening now with the Voting Rights Act. So I want you guys to know that our conversation is rooted in some real stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm a lamenter. Malika is a lamenter. I can lament for a very, very long time. I think it's just a God-given gift and it's a curse at the same time. So when I see something wrong, I will say, hey, 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 this is wrong. I
Yeah.
am your classic Chicken Little around here. Okay. The sky is falling like
It
that.
really is falling though.
And Malika, now,
Yeah.
okay, having said all of that, mend the world.
Okay.
What are we hoping to accomplish here?
Yes. And I want to say one thing about USA because I know some people are like, well, why were we giving money to all these other things? It's like we have 70 to 80 military bases across the globe. We are the occupier across the globe. You don't get to occupy the entire world without also contributing something.
That's
And there's criticisms about USA from people from outside of America saying it was also colonial, but the fact of the matter is to just gut it in the way that it was done. Everything that was gutted through Doge, from the black women who were cut, specifically black women, 700,000 jobs lost. I mean, we've got children dead because of it. Doge is one of the worst, unconstitutional, horrifically racist and frankly just insane things that I've ever seen at the at the national level. So I wanted to make sure people understand that you don't just have bases all over the world and you don't try to do some good for countries. And so
right.
yeah, there's that. Also, let's not forget January 6th. You know,
Right. Woof.
can anybody not remember that? Like that was also one of the things that was like going through my mind. Oh my God, January 6th. We know what he's going to do. He will never leave that office. He will never leave that office. We barely got him out the first time. Are we really going to let this man in again? And the other thing, and then I'm going to get to mend the world, was the nuclear codes. That was one of the things I really did study when I was at Fletcher. It was like, okay, when we're talking about world issues, one of the things we just seem to have forgotten, besides the fact that the earth is becoming uninhabitable for human beings. Thank you, Jordan Jackson. Shout out to him. Uninhabitable for human beings. Let me say that again. The earth is becoming uninhabitable for human beings. We're also talking about nuclear codes. Now is not the time to prove anything. Now is the time to stall and work our asses off to try to save everything in the earth. And so that's what Mend the World is about. It's like facing all of the challenges. We need to face the AI challenge. Are we really going to allow the drinking water to be completely used up as we're using AI? I mean, yes, the earth is made of 70% water, but 3% of that is drinking water. Hey, we have enough nuclear weapons. It would take just a few to make it a nuclear winter where there are no more human beings. The earth is becoming uninhabitable. I'll say that one more time, for humanity. And we have all of these things. And so we have to face these issues. We have to get our head out of the sand. We have to stare them straight in the face. And this is beyond just the horrific things that are being done by a handful of very few men And that's another thing we need to address, this handful of men who are like 8 to 10 who own all the wealth, who have underground bunkers and are really just don't care if we live or die. In
Right.
fact, I think they would prefer that we didn't. So we've got to face these things with accuracy, with urgency, and also with a, a real understanding that everything could be gone. This
Yeah.
beautiful blue and green marble in the sky could be gone because of our mishandling, our poor stewardship
Mhm.
of everything we have. And so
Mhm.
that's why we're doing the truth part. And then we're going to look at it from a lament. And that's why I said I'm still depressed. I'm not really depressed. I think that if you're not actually feeling any type of concern, emotions, rage, or any of that, you are in disassociation. There's a collective pathology happening of self destruction. There's a mind virus cannibalism where we're about to commit mass, self destruction. And we should be feeling that. We should be facing the truth, lamenting. And then we start talking about repair. And I don't know if Cece, if this is for us or for it's like 3 generations down, but we need to be looking at some sort of blueprint or some sort of design how we can go back to living in harmony and unity and symbiosis
Mm.
with the earth, with her, with the planet
Mm.
in a way that is decentralized, which is sustainable, and which is flourishing for all life and not just for us. There's a big, beautiful galaxy out there. If you ever go out away from the city and you look at the stars, when was the last time we did this? I know you live kind of closer to the country, or you could get there a lot
Yeah.
faster, but like
Yeah.
we are so interconnected with everything, and that's where I get very spiritual, mystical. It's like we can't we can't give up. We have to have that defiant hope, and we have to resist the forces, and we have to do that in a way that is we're going to collectively reimagine a way in the world that is caring, and
Mm.
it comes out of that
Yeah.
caring
Yeah.
instead of harming,
Yeah.
that is giving instead of exploitative, that is gift economy instead of extraction.
Mm.
And so we're going to do that by talking with one another. We're going to do that by meeting with justice practitioners, and we're going to continue to see where this evolves and where this goes. But we're not giving up. We're not stopping. We're going to stand in the face of injustice, and we are going to hope.
Mm. We're gonna hope, y'all, and that Malika is much better at hope than I am, but I got a
I
little
don't think
bit.
so.
I got
Sissy, no, 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 no,
I
no.
got a little bit.
I'm much better at rage and
I don't
despair.
know. I
I think
don't
you are
know.
much better at hope.
I don't know. But in any case, I wanted to say that um, that's what we want to accomplish. We want to accomplish stirring up imagination and all of
Yes.
right? Because I really believe that imagination is holy. From my sacred text, the whole world came into being through the imagination of God, right? And so um, we have that ability, right, to create and to recreate because we are made in God's image. Right now, as we are recording, I am at a conference, a retreat with Norma Wong, who is a Buddhist activist,
Mm,
a Asian Hawaiian elder who is pouring out so much wisdom. And she talks about the long arc. She talks about the long horizon.
mm,
And the
mhm.
long horizon is about where we see and what we can envision for generations and generations long after we are gone. What kind of world do we want, right? What kind of world do we want to leave? What kind of world do we want to
Yes.
seed toward? And then she talks about basically the now horizon, what's right here in our faces, right? That we can take a hold of and do something about that again will seed toward that long arc, that horizon that is further off in the distance when
Beautiful.
our bones are dust, right? And She's phenomenal. I wanted to tell y'all, I pulled it up. She's written 2 books, and I wanna tell you what they are because I mean, I every time I'm in her presence, um, I get hope. One of her books is When No Thing Works, a Zen and Indigenous Perspective on
Mm,
Resilience, Shared Purpose, and Leadership in the Time Place of Collapse. The second book is Who We Are Becoming Matters, the
yeah,
courage, wisdom, and aloha we need in the time place collapse. And so
I love it.
I want to offer those resources up to you all because it's giving me hope right now in real time. And the way, as we're talking about imagination, Malika, I want us to get into the habit as we go forward with this podcast of saying
Mhm.
what's good. And,
Yeah.
what I see that is good right now is that
Mhm.
people are coming together. People are working to figure out ways to knit movements together and knit people groups together and knit ideas together because we're all many of us, not all, but many of us are working toward staving off authoritarianism and saying no to dictatorship in this country and saying no, everybody matters here and nobody's life is off the table here. And so what I see that is so good happening right now is people coming together and
Mhm.
we're not coming together with solutions. We're coming together to make the way by walking. We just
I
know
love that.
we just know
Yeah.
the work that is of today. And so tomorrow carries its own worries and we have to deal with tomorrow. But to see communities, new communities forming is powerful. And so Malika, before you close, what's good?
I think, what you what the conference you're at, for me, it's so important when it talks about, um, that the move forward is not gonna just be like what we're doing in our own efforts. Like, you're coming to this podcast as an activist and a reverend. I'm coming to it more as a human rights person and a mystic.
Mm,
But at the same time, when we talk about moving forward with Zen, it's like we're not going to mend the world if we are not mending ourselves too. And
yeah,
it has to be both. It's not one or the other because it's not binary. It's not splintered. It's not punitive. We are going to be able to make the world whole as we make ourselves whole. And the fact is, for me, it's that idea of, you becoming whole is less about therapy and self-help books. And please go to therapy. I did not mean don't go to therapy.
please go.
Please go, particularly if you're a man. But it's also about sitting with yourself, and it's about all the parts you may not like or the parts you don't show. It's just becoming authentic and whole and embracing that part of yourself. And in that daily kind of mend work that you're doing internally, as we come together collectively, we're going to be able to also accept people and the things we don't like about them, because those are often just projections of ourselves. So yeah, I think this idea of Zen is really important. This inner mending, this being able to be quiet, get away from the screens, come and sit with yourself. The difference between loneliness or being alone. We have to get to this place where we understand we are whole,
Yeah,
and then we can build this world that is whole. But at the end of the day, it's wholeness.
yeah.
I think that is important. And that I want to see, and that's what's giving me hope. Again, go to therapy.
Go to therapy, folks. Malika, we have about a minute
Yes.
and a half. You want to close us out?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So, um, we're gonna just invite you. Everybody has a part to play. And that begins inside. It begins with, like, okay, let's just say it, like the whole realm of the kingdom of God, Jesus would say, is within you. You can
Mhm.
also talk to Buddha, and there's this inner place of sanctuary. You can do it as just a spiritual, like a nature person. When you dwell in nature, there's something that just attunes to you.
Mhm.
So we'll ask you to come with curiosity. Also feel free to call us out. I don't have any problem with that, but we want we want to offer kind of this community, beloved community space where you come and you are well within yourself, and then also we can come together and we can make the world well and whole.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Okay,
this is an
let me ask you
invitation.
this. Just thought about it. Is there a way for folks who are listening to be able to reach out to us? What's the best way?
Well, I think first, if you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe,
Yeah.
and then you're staying in touch. We will be doing some lives, so then you can definitely, like, if you see us on Instagram or YouTube live, join in, and that way you can ask us questions. You can also reach us at mtw podcast at mendokc.com. That is our email. We have an Instagram account. You can DM us, follow us there, follow us on we've got an X, a TikTok, and what's the other one? Facebook page if you're like my age.
My
So, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We genuinely invite you. Again, this is an invitation. We want you to come. We want you to be a part. You don't have to, but we would love for you to come and
yeah.
be whole, and let's
Yeah.
make a world that's whole.
Yeah. Amen. Folks, thank y'all. Thank you for joining the first episode. It means the world to me that you would even chime in and listen. Thank
Yeah.
y'all. Would you do
Thank you.
everything that Malika said? And would you join us next time? We're gonna do something while we're living in this world together and hope
Yeah.
it will do some mending. Thank y'all for joining.
Thank you
Until
all.
next
Love you.
time, bye y'all.
Bye bye.